Hello and welcome back to the making of the Chapel of Zenith. I'm going to be making the front part of the church now, this sort of like doorway part. So I'm just going to pop that onto the other side of the screen and let's go from here and duplicate this box. Move it into position first, then duplicate it. Bring that into the center here, and I always set the origin to 3D cursor. Going to bring it forward, and now I'm going to squeeze it down, so I want about that sort of thickness. Again, I'm going to bring that back. This is just so I can... Looks fine. So it's going to need to be wider and taller, so I'm just going to bring that to about here. And looking at the reference image, it kind of comes up just underneath this bit here, so it just comes up just underneath the second one, so that needs to come up a bit more. So that needs to come to about here for the top part, so that's just underneath these bits. I'm going to bring that to about just here. And then I'm going to do an extrude, and I'm going to come up just about here and bring it in to make the pointed roof. Now, since this is a pointed roof, I'm going to merge these vertices. Going to do them one by one at the center, just so it creates a nice sharp angle at the top there. So that's that bit done now. Now for the inner thing, I believe what we can do, if I do a cylinder, and I'm going to do that to view, about 20, that's about right. And again, that comes, so the top of it's just halfway. Now what we're going to do is edit this to get that nice sort of the shape that's in here. So kind of like a curved arch shape. So I'll just bring this up. Then it's going to need some more geometry in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like so. It's just to round off that top a little bit more. And then I can bring these up. It creates a sort of sweeping look. And that needs to come in. It kind of comes round, then down, and down some more, and then these ones become more or less straight, so about there. Delete the rest of those. So now we've got this nice bit of shape like this. Bring those out. Bring these out as well. Just to make sure it all lines up. Okay, so we've got that nice sort of shape here. I think it does need to be a bit wider. So a little bit wider. Bring that to about here. Yep, that looks about right. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to duplicate this, because one's going to be the boolean that goes inside, one's going to be the actual mesh. So this one that I've selected is going to be the mesh. And I'm going to go into edit mode again, and I'm going to select these sides and bring these down. So do an extrude all the way down to the ground. So we've got this nice tall archway. Now it still does need a little bit of work, but this is the start of it. So what we can do is bring these down a little bit. I said it doesn't need to be exact, but just so it's a nice sort of archway up there. Yeah, that looks better. So I'm going to just quickly duplicate that one. So this is going to be the inner part here. So what we need to do, we need to do the same with that one as well. So we've got a nice solid thing there. Just make sure it's duplicated. Now what I want to do is, if we put it inside, I want it to be a little bit thinner. And about there. Of course the bottom needs to be longer, so it needs to come to about here. So we've got a little gap just around it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the bigger one, and I'm going to, again, a little bit wider, come to the inner one, and I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Just so we've got a nice even edge on the inside and the out. The inner one obviously needs to be a lot longer in this direction, just so I can incorporate these into it as well. So I'm going to select all these. Of course this doesn't need to be that long, but that's going to go inside. What we'll do is just select these for a second. I'm going to join them, and I'm going to add a boolean modifier. Select. So put that in there. I'm going to apply it. Let's see what's happened. Okay, that's messed up the back a little bit. So let's I think I know what's gone wrong here. I don't think I applied, yeah, there's a modifier, that's why it didn't work. So I'm going to apply the modifier. Should have done that in another step, but just make sure it's all fine. And I'm going to do it again. and put my boolean on it. Select that. That should have gone through. Go do fast. And now I'm going to move that out of the way. There we go. And then we've got a nice thing here. So I'm going to come into this, press L to select this part, and this is going to come in here. I'm just looking. The beauty of this is I can now put it an equal distance each side, and it's covered up any holes there as well. So whilst I'm in edit mode of this, I'm going to select the faces, and all the faces underneath I'm just going to get rid of those because I don't need them. It just brings down the poly count a little bit. So that's looking pretty good for the front. Yep, that looks good. So now, the question is, do I want to add some decoration to the inner side of this? I'm going to get our little reference and put it here. So I believe it does need to be a bit wider. I'm going to select all this. I'm just going to select everything. I'm going to join that all together, and I'm going to set origin to the 3D cursor, and I'm going to make that a little bit wider and a little bit taller. A little bit more wider, a little bit more taller. There we go, and that can be probably a little bit thicker as well. So we've got plenty of clearance for this cube, which is going to be the player. So it may need to be a bit bigger. It's just a case of playing around, seeing what I can do with it. So it's going to be kind of a double door here. So roughly 2 people can fit side by side. There you go, so 2 people can walk through that door side by side. And I'll just put the original back to where it was. Okay, so I can probably get rid of that bit now. So that is the front part more or less done. I'm just going to add the bits of detail now, so these furnishings at the top, just like I did with the ones on here. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this and I'm going to select L, duplicate these. Oh, why it's so I'm just going to that one. Hopefully it's, there you go, it's just selected that. Brilliant. So now we've got that now, and I can bring this in. Bring it up as well. And since all the hard work was, more or less all the hard work was done beforehand, all I've got to do is a little bit of editing. Just to bring that down a little bit. Like so. That's looking fine. I can duplicate that again. I'm going to bring them all the way down. And then he's got a bit of that overhang, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Select these both, I think. So, and I think it just needs one more, just to create that little bit of overhang. There you go, so that's got a nice bit of overhang on it. I just need to do part that comes out here just to square that off. But what I shall do is select all these. Duplicate those, and then I'm going to rotate them on the z-axis 180 degrees and pop them over that side as well. That way we've got you can see a nice even thing here. Again, just select them. Bring it back. Bring them up a little bit. Okay. Now what I can do is again select them all. Because they're a little bit too wide. And I'm just going to bring them to about there. It should work. Also, I can push them back into the geometry a little bit more, but I want a little tiny bit of overhang. So that's those bits. That's those top bits. Now to do the sort of semi-square bits, rectangular bits under here. So that needs to be here. And then I need to edit this square so it comes to just underneath that lip to about here. Bring that down and then bring these up. So it comes to just about where it starts curving on the door, so about there. Bring that back a little bit. Now I can pop that into place. And then edit it a little bit more. Just so I've got a nice square bit on the end there. Then I can duplicate it over to the other side. Just bring it in. That's that part done. Now I can do the fancy bits that go down the middle. And by looking at them, the top one is just a simple cylinder. So I shall make a cylinder for that. So one can go on the top. Go here. I just need to sort that top part out because they do intersect quite a bit at the top there. So may just have to weld some vertices together. Gonna bring that down. Bring this one down as well. Bring that in and bring that one in a little bit. Just so it connects up there a little bit. Okay, so now let's get on with the decoration. Shrink that down. It's probably about, maybe a bit smaller than that. Bring down a little bit more. And I'm just going to make sure it's lined up in the middle. Make sure these are all lined. Bring that to the back. And then just pull this forward. It comes right to the edge. Just bring it just to there. And that's a nice little rounded bit on top. And the others, by the looks of them, are kind of square, sort of triangle, almost. I'm going to say they're triangles. They go along the sides here, so I'm going to make those. So to make that shape, what I'm going to do with this box here, again what I did, just going to join up these vertices, just to make that shape. And then I can go ahead and shrink that down, and it needs to be rotated a little bit as well. So the bottom is wider than the top, so the top needs to come down. Like so, and then the whole thing needs to be shrunk. And there needs to be bevel on it. So it kind of goes like this. Again, this is just very rough. I need to just line it up with these. Yep, that's fine, that should do it. Bring that back. Forward a little bit. And then of course bring, that comes right to the edge again. So it needs to come to the edge. So just about there. And then what I'm going to do at these here, put a bit of a bevel on it. So I'm going to bevel it. So make it 2 there, or 3. That doesn't need to be rounded, but these do. So a little bit rounder. just so it rounds it off a little bit. Okay, set it as geometry surface, and then it's just a simple case of duplicating them, making sure they're in the correct place. Once one side's done, I can just copy the whole lot over to the other side and just mirror it. They do have one at the bottom as well. Just bring it a little bit. I think it needs to be a little bit smaller. Yeah, because I think they're too big. So again, that's about right. Gonna make sure that I'm happy with it before I do anything else to it. And that needs to come into there a little bit. And I do need to make them a little bit longer, because they come right up to the edge. Bring that in. Okay, that looks better. Yeah. Now I could select these. Careful not to select the main mesh. Could be a bit fiddly sometimes. I'm going to join those, duplicate them, and then they can go the other side. Just making sure these line up. Sometimes when you're duplicating this sort of thing, it does go a little bit haywire sometimes. You just need to go in and edit it a little bit. But it's quite easy just to go in and change things if they need to. So that's those bits done. Now I could make the archway a little bit more fancier. But I don't think I really need to. This door's just going to be just on the inside there. what I will do, I think, this here, select that, and I'm just going to detach it from everything in them just for a moment. And what I want to do is want to make sure that these are that may need to come down a little bit more. Bring that up to about here. I kind of want the to be quite fancy. Not really fancy, but I kind of wanted like a column in here because I like these columns, so I may do that. So that'll be simple cylinder probably, and a lot of extruding. So let's go ahead and make that, and then that'll end this tutorial. So here we go, I can just make this. Make sure, always make sure that it's in the right place. Now I can start doing stuff to it. Squash it down. The base is fairly thick, so it's kind of domed. So I'm going to bring that in on all axes like that. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Bring it up again. Needs to be beveled out, I think. Just beveling it in. It's a bit of a okay, so this ring. Okay. That brings it out nicely. And what I'm going to do is, if it'll let me put a center there, just a ring around it. And I'm going to put a bevel on that. And I'm going to put 3 in there. So that makes that a little bit rounder. And this can be the rest of the plinth that goes up. Just going to do a simple extrude on that. So that comes up to about there. Yep, so there. Got that, and I'm going to do a little extrude. Just a little one. It's about here. Another extrude to about there. And in this, again, this will need to come out. And there's going to be a line in the middle just to bevel it out a little bit. But this top one won't need a lot of detail like the bottom one. You're not going to really see it, so I'm going to bring it out just a little bit. I'm going to bring that out. It's about there. That works. I'm going to do another one. So just select these. Select these right the way around again. And then the outer edge can become the next one of those. So again, it's going to be a little bit thicker because then it goes in and then it comes out again.